The electric company, the Cuban Missile Crisis, and Microsoft are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is October 25th, 2022. It is the 298th day of the year. There's 67 days left in 2022. Yesterday, for some reason, I couldn't tell the difference between 60 and 68, and I said there were 60 days left in 2022. Sometimes it sucks being a human being. Today is the 43rd Tuesday in the 43rd week and the 34th day of fall. We got 57 days left until winter. Today is European Day of Justice. European Day of Justice is a day that serves to inform European Union citizens of their right and access to cross-border justice in the EU. Legal workers spend the day encouraging the wider population to engage with how their society polices behavior in order to better understand their rights. European Day of Justice began in 2003. Member states organize events around the date, which brings justice closer to the citizens. All right, let's see what else October 25th has given us. 1940, Benjamin O. Davis Sr. is named the first African-American general in the United States Army. His son goes on to be a brigadier general in the U.S. Air Force. I had a lieutenant in the Army. He was an African-American lieutenant, and he told us about Benjamin O. Davis Sr. way back then. He said he read a book about him or something while he was in college, and it was like an inspiration to him. That's why he joined the Army. Now, the difference is Benjamin O. Davis Sr., or General Benjamin O. Davis Sr., was a great officer. This lieutenant I had was not. When you're in the military, if you want to get your rank faster, you go join an infantry unit or some other kind of combat arms unit. So let's say you're working in supply or something like that. Well, if you go be a lieutenant in an infantry unit, you'll get promoted quicker. This guy, I don't know where he came from, medical or logistical or something like that, but he decided he was going to be a lieutenant with us to grab his promotion points. I saw the blood drain from that man's face when we were just training, and they said we were going to the field, as we called it, for 2 weeks. And there was no shower facilities. If you wanted a shower or a bath, you needed to find a creek, which was common practice for us. He about lost it. He was pitching his fit, and I saw my company commander, who was a very hard dude. He looked at him kind of strangely, and about a week later, that lieutenant was gone. It was great. 1944, World War II, the first attempt of the Imperial Japanese Navy to win the war climaxes at the Battle of Leyte Gulf. 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Adelaide Stevenson shows the United Nations Security Council reconnaissance photographs of Soviet ballistic missiles in Cuba. So this was a little interesting part of history. Adelaide Stevenson was the governor of Illinois for a while, then he became the ambassador to the United States under John F. Kennedy. Now, I didn't know much about this. I knew about the Cuban Missile Crisis, didn't know about Adelaide Stevenson and his part in it, which this is interesting. So just a brief history of this. Obviously, during the Cold War, we were head-to-head with the Soviet Union, and we felt that nuclear war was going to happen at any time. The Cuban Missile Crisis was the closest we've ever come to nuclear warfare. What it was Cuba was in cahoots with Russia, and Russia wanted to have some nuclear missiles near the United States. At the time, they didn't have submarines that could just park a mile off coast and launch one, and they didn't have the distance. They had to be close. So Cuba was a perfect fit. Missile technology of the time would have made it to where they might have been able to get close to Washington, D.C., but for the most part, it would have hit the southern states if there was a nuclear war. Well, the United States knew something was going on, and they were flying spy aircraft over the island of Cuba. And they discovered these missile sites being set up. And it turned into this whole big thing, and it was a standoff. Well, they go to the UN to discuss it. Adelaide Stevenson just lays out the Soviet Union. He gets in there like a true statesman and explains the whole deal and all that. And then when the conversations start going back and forth, he cut them no slack. Normally there's a little nuance to these things. And the Soviet Union said, no, it's not us doing this. This whole crisis is developed by the United States. And, they just put the blame back on us. And one of the best lines was Adelaide Stevenson said, I must confess, this is the first time I've heard it said that the crime is not the burglar, but the discovery of the burglar. He just cut the Soviets no slack. I mean, there was all kinds of little statements like, were you lying then? Or are you lying now? And that's how it went back and forth. It was a great moment in American politics, I guess you could say. I think the biggest problem was the Soviets were a little surprised at the aggressive nature of Adelaide Stevenson. In the world of politics, he just wasn't playing nice. He was cutthroat in this thing. 1997, a commuter train slams into a school bus in Fox River Grove, Illinois, killing 7 people. 1999, a Learjet 35 crashes in Aberdeen, South Dakota, killing all 6 people on board, including PGA golfer Payne Stewart. I remember that happened. That was sad. 2001, Microsoft releases Windows XP, becoming one of Microsoft's most successful operating systems. I used that till I shouldn't have. You know, sometimes you get used to a certain technology and you don't see a need in changing. It got to the point where I had to change. Kind of like Blackberries. I loved my Blackberry and I didn't want to get rid of it. I finally bought an iPhone and I kind of missed my Blackberry, but then I realized the iPhone was so much better. Premiered on October 25th, 1971, The Electric Company, educational comedy sketch show that teaches children the basic concepts of reading, grammar, and other literary focal points. This was a great show. I watched it when I was a kid, and as I was researching this, I was surprised by how many people were on there. Morgan Freeman, Rita Moreno was on there for the longest time. She was in West Side Story. Mel Brooks was on there. Bill Cosby was on there. Joan Rivers made appearances. Gene Wilder, Lily Tomlin, Mel Blanc, who was like Porky Pig in Bugs Bunny voice, Irene Cara. This show was regarded as the first modern comedy sketch show which influenced shows like Saturday Night Live. Born on October 25th, 1984, Katy Perry. I did not know she was that young. Pop singer who gained fame in 2008 after the release of her hit I Kissed a Girl. Her 2010 album Teenage Dream featured 5 songs that topped the US Billboard Hot 100, earning her the distinction of being the first female artist to achieve this feat. She was voted Woman of the Year by Billboard magazine in 2012. In 2018, she became a judge on American Idol, and just recently, when a cruise ship is launched, they have like a godmother. I think they might have a godfather, but basically the old busting the champagne on the front of the boat. She did that for the Norwegian Cruise Line's Prima ship, I believe. I guess when they had this ceremony for the Prima, and she, being the godmother and all that, she decided to do a show also for all the guests. Died on October 25th, 1993, we lost Vincent Price. Everyone knows Vincent Price, great actor. He was born in St. Louis on May 27th, 1911. Most people thought he was British. He was not. I shouldn't say most people. A lot of people think he was at least someplace in Europe. He just had that mannerism to him, I guess. I always found his career kind of strange. I mean, he started off as a legit actor. I mean, he was in these serious movies like The Ten Commandments, a bunch of other ones, where he played serious roles. Then he started getting into like all these B-movie type scary things, and that's kind of strange. And then most of his career, which most people don't know, he was the voice of so many different things. He was just the narrator on a lot of different movies and TV shows. Later in life, Vincent Price was suffering from a lot of different health issues, including Parkinson's disease. His symptoms were getting really bad, and when he was filming Edward Scissorhands, they really had to cut back on his filming schedule. He was supposed to have a bigger role than he actually did in the movie. Vincent Price died at the age of 82 of lung cancer on October 25th, 1993, in his home in Los Angeles. He was cremated, and his ashes were spread at Point Dume in Malibu. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a productive day, and be nice to each other.